Deep in the ocean, past 1,000 feet down, there is a shark with a long, flat snout and small, weak eyes that barely work at all in the dark. It should not be a good hunter. It cannot see its prey clearly, and it lives in water so dark that eyesight barely matters anyway. And yet this shark catches food with great success, using a sense that has nothing to do with seeing at all. This is the goblin shark, and it is one of the strangest hunters in the entire ocean. It does not chase prey by sight. It finds prey using electricity, sensing it through the water before it ever needs to see anything at all. Let's start with the basic problem this shark is dealing with. It lives very deep, often below 1,000 feet, sometimes much deeper than that. At those depths, sunlight is completely gone. There is no light to see by at all, not even a small amount. Most animals that hunt by sight simply cannot function down there. So, how does a shark catch fast, moving prey in water this dark? The answer is a special sense that many sharks have, but the goblin shark uses in an extreme way. Every living animal gives off a tiny electrical signal just by moving its muscles. Even something as simple as a heartbeat creates a small electric field in the water around it. Most animals never notice this signal. Sharks can. Along the shark's snout, there are tiny pores filled with a jelly-like substance connected to nerve endings underneath the skin. These pores can pick up on extremely small electric signals in the water, signals far too weak for a human to ever notice. This system is called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and while many sharks have some version of it, the goblin shark takes it to another level. Its snout is unusually long and flat, stretching out far in front of its mouth. And it is absolutely packed with these electric sensing pores, far more densely than in most other shark species. Spreading that many sensors across such a long snout gives the goblin shark an incredibly wide detection area. Almost like carrying its own built-in radar dish that scans the water in front of it for the faint electric signals given off by anything alive nearby. This means the goblin shark does not need to see a fish to know it is there. It simply needs the fish to be alive, moving, and close enough for its snout to pick up the tiny electric field that movement creates. In complete darkness, this system works just as well as it would in daylight, because it has nothing to do with light at all. Once the goblin shark picks up a target, it faces a new problem. Deep-sea prey can be fast, and a slow, cautious approach might let a meal slip away. This is where the goblin shark's most famous and strangest feature comes in. Its jaw does not stay in a fixed position the way most animal jaws do. Instead, it can shoot forward suddenly, snapping out of the shark's mouth and extending outward in a fraction of a second, almost like a slingshot releasing. This sudden jaw extension lets the goblin shark grab prey at the last possible moment, covering the final short distance almost instantly without needing to rely on a burst of full body speed the way many other sharks do. Put these two things together and you get a very specific hunting style. The shark does not need strong eyesight because its snout is already doing the work of finding prey long before eyesight would even matter. And once prey is close enough, it does not need to be a fast swimmer either, because that extending jaw closes the final gap in an instant. Every part of this animal is built around one simple idea: sensing something is there without ever needing to see it first. This also explains why the goblin shark's eyes ended up so weak in the first place, rather than staying sharp like the eyes of sharks living closer to the surface. Building and maintaining strong eyesight takes real energy, and in an environment with no light at all. That energy would be almost completely wasted. Over a very long time, animals living in permanent darkness tend to lose sharp eyesight simply because there is no advantage to keeping it. The goblin shark's small, weak eyes are not a flaw or a mistake. They are the natural result of relying on a completely different sense for so long that eyesight was no longer worth the cost of keeping in top condition. The goblin shark is not alone in relying on this kind of sense either. Hammerhead sharks use a similar system, though for a slightly different purpose. Their wide, flat heads are lined with electric sensing pores spread out across a much larger surface area than a normal shark head allows. This wide spread lets hammerheads sweep their heads side to side while swimming low over the seafloor, effectively scanning a wide strip of sand at once. This is especially useful for finding prey like stingrays, which often bury themselves under a thin layer of sand to hide from view. A stingray can hide from eyesight easily. It cannot hide its own heartbeat, and a hammerhead sweeping overhead can pick up on that small electric signal even through a layer of sand thick enough to block eyesight completely. This shows something important about hunting in the ocean. Eyesight works well in bright, clear, shallow water, but it becomes far less reliable in deep, dark, or murky conditions, or when prey is doing something like hiding under sand specifically to avoid being seen. Electric sensing does not care about any of that. It works the same whether the water is pitch black, cloudy, or perfectly clear, and it can even detect prey that thinks it is completely hidden. This is really the answer to how an animal with such poor eyesight can still be such an effective hunter. The goblin shark and its electric sensing relatives are not trying to compensate for bad vision by working harder to see. They are simply relying on a completely different sense, one that does not need light at all, and one that can detect prey no matter how well that prey thinks it is hiding. It also shows that hunting in the ocean is not always about who can see the best. Sometimes the better strategy is finding a completely different sense to rely on, one that keeps working even in conditions where sight fails completely. The goblin shark never needed sharp eyes to become a successful hunter. It just needed a sense built for exactly the environment it lives in. So the next time you picture a shark hunting in the deep, dark ocean, do not imagine it straining to see through the darkness. Imagine it reading the water itself, picking up on the smallest electric signals given off by anything alive nearby, and striking with perfect accuracy at something it never needed to see in the first place.